Bless the spirit and continue to give him the glory to keep making his spirit and keep heart. The Lord is committed to oh, thank us for Brother Jabbar coming in safe. Okay, making it safe. Yes, this is history. We knew we were going to be here, bro. Yes. Okay, so we here now. Amen. This issue making here, bro. We on the hill. You're gonna be able to say, see, Jabbar, wait. Jabbar is 14 years young. Mm-hmm. So Jabbar is gonna be Lafayette. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's Lafayette. Lafayette was. Yeah, he's the youngest one in the group. The youngest sister to King. I'll show you. Yeah. He's still living. He's one of the last ones that he was with him. When you look at all like, oh, it's nice. That he's still living. Yes. Okay. Give her Leslie, not Lester. No. In some places, let's see. I almost got you later. I got to have. You know they got the eat. Guess what? Don't power behind the product. That's why I'm pretty sure. So what Christmas? What do you do? 7-Eleven, like that. They need to get because I was working about 7 but
Hi.
Is it on? You turn up the volume. Turn up the music. Turn up the music.
I know what it That's the best kind of house. I live the house, like I said, the house I live in is the house that she right there, it wasn't built Jones. Yeah. All right, hey, let's get it. Good talking to you. All right, now. We'll talk again.
Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2.
All right. Good evening. Blessings to you. Thank you so much for coming to join us as part of this Cascade Community time of sharing. We're excited that you're here. How's the food? You're not saying much, so it must be good, right? But we have others right in the hallway, and as they're coming in, before we do an opening prayer, thank you. We're so excited about this vision and sharing it with you and getting your input, and to have the leaders who are with us tonight to continue the dialogue. We pray that you will leave here with more information than you came with, and that as we move through this conversation, if you have questions, please make a note of them. You'll find on your placemat a kind of remarks it's not a card, but what would you call it? A slip. So write down if you have any comments, questions, feel free to list those. We'll collect them at the end, and prayerfully we'll be able to address any questions or comments that you might have. Well, I tell you what, they're signing in, and it's several people in the hallway, but we're going to begin with an opening prayer, as is our tradition here at Hillside. And I'm going to invite Reverend Dr. D. Adio Moses, one of our longtime ministers, to speak the word of blessing. Would you?
Good evening, everyone. Namaste. Let us pray. Father, Mother God, we're so thankful and so grateful for this day that we, your children, are here, Lord, because you are the one that organized this event. The recap of your vision, Lord, for Hillside Renaissance Development Project on Cascade. Your vision, Lord, for the three phases of mixed-use community development. Your vision for senior housing units. Your vision for the smart micro housing unit. Your vision, Lord, for home ownership, commercial and community space, and so much more. Father, we're all here today because of your vision. And we know that with the leaders that you've chosen, with all the people that are involved, that all of us will leave today being more knowledgeable, more excited, and really just be more positive about the future of Cascade and Hillside. So we're just here to say thank you, God, for your word today. We're grateful. Bless all the people that are here and those that are coming. And we're just so thankful. And so it is.
Thank you, Dr. D. All right, come on in. Welcome. We've been waiting for you. Will you give them a hand as they come in? Give them a big hand. Yay, we've been waiting for you. Please enjoy the food that's been prepared. Once again, we're so grateful to have you here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jack Bomar, and I serve as the presiding bishop here of Hillside, and the name successor to the founder, our founder, Bishop Dr. Barbara Lewis King. Can we just give her a big hand? And is there anyone here for the first time? Anyone at Hillside for the first time? If so, will you raise your hand? And yay, come on, let's give. Wonderful. Well, we're so grateful. We pray that you will leave this space with more information. And for those of you who don't know, this ministry was founded 52 years ago this September. Can you believe that? By a legendary, iconic figure in the city, Bishop Dr. Barbara Lewis King. Many of you, who does not know or who did not know Dr. Barbara? Raise your hand. So everybody's aware of her. If you go to the International Chapel, the Hartsfield, what's it? Yes, that airport, the International Chapel in the airport is named in her honor. And I believe that that's the only chapel in this country named after a woman. So we thank God for that. We're very grateful. And so Dr. Barbara founded this ministry 52 years ago as an inclusive international healing ministry. And today, Hillside's ministry extends to, we have a ministry in Johannesburg, South Africa, a ministry extension in Ghana. We opened our newest ministry in March in Melbourne, Australia. We are in, our next ministry will open in November in Hawaii, Honolulu. So if you want to go with us, you're welcome to go. And we have a ministry extensions in Beaufort, South Carolina. Where else? And they're growing everywhere. And so the intention tonight is to share with you once again, to recap the vision that we shared last month. And for those of you who was here last month, can we just see? Okay, well, wonderful. Wow. Okay, yay. And that you returned, that's wonderful. As we consider our footprint here in the Cascade area, Cascade Heights, we are intentional about utilizing our land to meet the needs of this community. And one of the greatest needs, not just in this community, but in most communities, is the need for housing. And as we shared with you last month, and for those of you who are not here, this is part of our 2030 vision of what we're committing to as a spiritual community here, and that is to increase economic mobility, sustain stronger community engagement, to improve the quality of living in this community, to provide competitive and diverse workforce development. And what you see before you as the handout and the slideshow and this conversation leans into that. And this conversation is centered around our intention to launch the Hillside Renaissance Development Project. I just like how it feels. Renaissance Development Project here on Cascade. Well, I have to tell you, and it doesn't begin with us. This Renaissance has already started in Cascade Heights. I know you don't know. I'm going to ask you to do it. Shay, raise your hand. Come on, Shay. All right. Shay, who's helping to lead the Renaissance in our business district. So it's already happening. And we want to be part of that and looking at how we can best utilize the gift that we have been given through our land. And here's the good news: we owe nobody no thing. It's all paid for here. And as we're looking at how do we best utilize it to meet these needs, this is the vision that we're leaning into, and we're inviting you as our neighbors, as our friends, as our community to lend your input in this vision. So we're calling this a kind of future, the future of live, learn, work, worship, play, stay, shop, modern community, as you can see. And the intention is that for those who live in this area, those who come to this area, you will really have no reason to leave Cascade Heights. Only if you choose to just go and tell the news in other neighborhoods. But there should be no reason for you to leave, that we should have exactly what we need in this community to thrive, just as other neighborhoods throughout the Atlanta area. We are, and the intention is that we're lowering the stress of living by creating convenience, having our neighbors, getting to know our neighbors, closer neighbors, a circle of life, and the diversity of living options. We talked about last month, this vision includes 3 phases of development, and you'll see them listed on your handout. Senior housing community, workforce housing community, home ownership opportunities that include commercial space and even community event space. And it doesn't mean that we're going to, although we have 3 phases, and all of this is still conceptual, we're just sharing with you what we're seeing, what we're desiring to help manifest here. It doesn't mean it will happen in this order. The Hillside cottages on Cascade that provide housing opportunities for our seniors. And in our community here at Hillside, we have senior individuals who are ready to downsize. They don't want all the overhead that they have. They don't want the 5,000 square feet house any longer. And they want to downsize, and we want to create space and to be able to house them here. We also talked about, and this is just a model, a concept that we're working with, and you'll hear more from the architect who's with us, part of the team, as well as the developer that we've been working with. In phase 2, we talked about the Bishop Barbara Lewis King Village of Hope that includes housing, workforce housing for those in our community, who might be challenged in finding quality housing in this area that they can afford to enjoy. And you'll hear more about that as well. And the Hillside Renaissance Park that includes home ownership opportunities. And we're really excited about this. And some of the models that you'll see are models that we are leaning into, and you'll hear from the developer as well. But creating opportunities for home ownership right here in this area. Who would be interested, I'm curious, in home ownership opportunities here in the Cascade Heights? Okay. And on that note, we're happy to have as our Director of Development and Community Engagement, who's going to come and lead this conversation, none other than Miss Felicia Moore. Give her a big hand.
Do you want this? I just need to know how to advance.
Are you want me to control it?
You can.
All
You
right.
can. All right. Thank you, Bishop, and thank you to all of you, and particularly those that are second comers. I want to start by thanking you as members of the community. As I told the bishop when I first heard of this vision, we've got to talk to the community. I know you have all these great ideas in your head, but you've got to understand if they line up with what the community's vision is. And I thank him for allowing me to be in this position to bring that to you. But I want to thank many of you after the meeting. I had a few phone calls, I've had some sit-down meetings, and so that really has helped me to be able to relate to the team what the community sees in the vision and how they would like to see it happen. So I want to start off tonight by just, particularly those who are watching live, if you also could make sure after this meeting that you share this video and the first video, whatever videos with other people, so that we want to make sure as we're moving forward that the maximum amount of people in the area know and have the input. You have at your table a small little sheet of paper. If you don't want to necessarily talk directly or give me a call or email me or however you want to communicate, you can leave your thoughts here. So you can write them down and leave them here and we'll pick them up. Then there's also a smaller piece of paper that has my direct phone number. So a few people were surprised I actually answered the phone. Yes, I do. And talk right directly back to you. If I'm not able to get you, if you call in on a cell, just text me and we will certainly address any issues that you have. So I want to again thank you for that, and that's what we're here for, is to give a broad overview vision of how we plan to see it, meaning that any and everything that you see tonight is still subject to hearing more of your input and understanding more about how the development can take place, okay? So one thing I would like to do, so as we recap last time, we talked or had two gentlemen come up who are going to come up again, who can talk about some of the design features and some of the aesthetics and maybe even some of the other questions that were answered. After I bring them up, I'm going to come back up and briefly address, briefly address some of the issues that came up last time with information that I pulled, just to give us a better sense of where we are. Now, I am certainly open, particularly on some of these issues, to really do a deep dive. It's probably a whole nother meeting. And it may not be necessary, but I did want to make sure as we did this recap that we touched on what we heard. So the first person I'm going to call up is Dr. Les Sneed, and he's going to come up. And then followed by William Stanley, who is an architect working on this project with us. And then after those two gentlemen, I will be back. And then if you do have questions, please make sure you take a note of them, because we want to spend as much time as we can hearing from you. Dr. Sneed.
Thank you, Felicia. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I really enjoyed the prayer from Dr. D. She said it's a God vision, and it is. It just happened to be here on Cascade with the Renaissance Project in honor of Dr. King. So I'm excited to be here this afternoon. I am grateful to be a part of this great vision here on Cascade, and I serve the part as a developer. A very unique part of this project. We actually are the supplier. I guess you wonder what I have in my hand. I'll share with that in just a moment. And as the builder and the developer, this is, how many know, I spoke last week about, coming from North Carolina. I've just got in from Colombia, South America, working with some of the government there with our technology. They're excited about us building for the military in Colombia. But I was glad to come back home. Jabari was with me in Colombia last week. We had a number of meetings from a lot of private and public collaborations that we're doing, and also Benin and Nigeria. But I'm excited to be back home. This is my home. I'm actually in a part of Cascade now. I'm at 2470 Cascade. Thanks to Bishop and the board here. So I'm a part of this community. I heard Mr. Stanley say he was here too. Hey, we all here now, okay? So I can walk through the project. I can walk down the street. I can go to the see the seniors. I can go and see, be a part of the services that be provided here. How many know Elon Musk? Tussler, okay. Boxable, you're the big company that's got the folding house that you see all on YouTube and everywhere. Okay, that's our colleague. And we're the only two companies in the U.S. that actually have a certified product has been certified as an international product that we can build with our technology. And this is what we have in our hand. If you've seen boxable homes, this is what it's made of. This is a fire-rated product. It's been certified to build, and this is what we're looking at building our beautiful designs right here. These are fire-rated technologies. These are the floors. These are the walls. These are the roof. And it's not a traditional wood that we see the rot, mold, and mildew. So we have a whole different product that we're bringing to market with mass production just about 20 miles from here over in Douglasville. So we're talking, our plant would be a mass production facility. We actually ordering our equipment. We got a model coming next month. You can come out and kick the tires. So we're excited about being here. We're excited about the meeting, just to see a good group of people that God has brought together that's pushing this vision of Dr. Barber here on Hillside. God bless you. Thank you.
Good evening. I think some of you met me last time. I'm William Stanley III, and a fourth generation Atlantan, and own property right down the street, 1415 Willis Mill Road. We bought our house 50 years ago, and it was a wreck. It was a $7,500 throwaway, but it was built in 1850, so we completely restored it, and with our hands. My wife here, Ivinia Love Stanley, my partner in business and marriage for 45 years. So we've been doing a lot of work here for a long time. What I want to share with you are some visuals about the community. Some will be a recap of what we said last time. But Hillside sits on a hill. As you know, and there's property across the street, which is a parking lot. The Episcopal Church of Incarnation is there, and the subject property that we're looking at are these properties here and the properties here between Cascade and Venetia, that corner right there. So we want to talk a little bit about what that means. We're looking at this as senior properties, 5.8 acres there, plus the house and the swimming pool that's there. The church sanctuary is here, parking lot number one, and an additional parking space here. The two lots here are the ones that we're concerned with tonight, but 2.14 acres. And what I want to do is to share with you our vision, very, very conceptual, of what we can do with that property. It's general land, and it's pretty easy to develop. As you can see, these contours that are very steep indicate that they're hills. This is fairly soft here, fairly flat land, so we can maneuver the land easily. The concept is that we do parking off-site and that we move around on the property by walking, by using golf carts. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in just a moment. This corner right here faces a commercial lot, which is 200 feet deep. And so we're looking at trying to put some commercial there with housing above it. Let's go to the site plan. This is freehand and very conceptual, so bear with us. This is Cascade, this is Venetia. We're looking at putting these units here, 24 freestanding units here that move around the trail. You enter here, it's gated, 600 square foot units, the two-story, 500 and 400 square foot units. So they're microhomes. On this other property, we're looking at putting 11,000 square feet of commercial complex with 17 600 square foot houses on top of the commercial. Imagine that you have a parking deck and you put housing on top of it. It's the same concept, except these are commercial ideas here. So it's really compact, and the parking is left here, the retail parking is here, but the parking is directly adjacent to us, so we don't have to have parking on the site itself proper. Let's take a look at what it looks like from the street. This is the property from the corner of Cascade and Venetia. This is Venetia, this is Cascade. So you have the platform here with the commercial, which overlooks, that has a walk-through, pass-through, and then you have the houses that sit on top there. And each one of these houses has an area between it for gazebos, for outdoor living, for views, etc. Connected by a corridor and controlled by doors that lead from either end. So this is completely controlled and completely secure. Going down a little further, you see the individual houses that are individual there, the same 600 square foot houses, and then there's more mixture there. Let's take a look at the view from the opposite direction. This is a corner where you enter into this parking lot for the church. The church is sitting there. And we have a mixture of 600 square foot houses, 2 stories, 400s and 500s. And there's several of these little gazebos. We call them fire and water. They'll have a pool, a fountain, as well as a fire pit, a place where people can go and barbecue or sit and eat or just have some controlled space. Let's go back to the site plan a little bit, if we can. 2 more back, the opposite direction, yeah. So I kind of took you through this kind of rather quickly. These are individual parcels, and these fire and water pits, are purposely placed in locations here so that every homeowner has an opportunity to go and use that as open space, right? The 600 square foot units have balconies, independent balconies on the second level. The tot lot here is intended to give the children an opportunity to play in a secured area as well. Again, these units sit on top of the platform. So you would enter here into a space that has elevator and stairs and other escape stairs here and here, right? So this is a completely secured complex. You can't just walk in off the street to get up on the second level of these units here, right? So that's pretty much the story. Let's go back to the visual again, if we could. And again, we talked about different housing types. So we wanted to make sure that we had different opportunities for people who are just a smaller unit, which is probably 2,400 square feet. Another one that's 500 square feet, and these are 600 square feet. They're compact, but if we can swing back through one of the units there, you can see that they're really very nice. Yeah. This is all right, go back one, that right there. That's a 600 square foot unit there. And if you move forward from there, you can see that it has a stair, 2 bedrooms, balcony, bathroom. Next view will show that it has full kitchen. So this is what these units look like inside. I wouldn't say they're luxurious, but they have really nice materials. And because they're sustainable materials, they're not gonna rot. They're not going to go away a long time. They have a long lifespan for them. Plus, they're environmentally sensitive as well. So this is what you get for a 600 square foot unit. And we have the same kind of visuals for the 500 and 400 square foot units as well. Let's go back and see one of those if we can. Yep, go back. Okay, let's go back to, well, right, this floor plan here. It's a 500 square foot unit, right? It has a bedroom on one level, dining, kitchen, bath, and lounging area. Very compact, but still very nicely appointed in terms of the interiors. Let's look at some of the interior views of that. Okay, that's a view from above, looking down into the kitchen area. Bedroom, living area with dining, living room, and there should be an exterior view as well. That's what it looks like from the outside. Won't necessarily be green, but that's my favorite color. But it's not my favorite color, but it'll be something like that. And we can go back to take a look at the 400 square foot unit as well, which is smaller, but nevertheless very well appointed. This one right here, roughly 20 by 20, 400 square feet. Okay, let's look at some of the visuals of that one. Nicely appointed bedroom, bath, kitchen, everything that a person who is downsized and doesn't need a lot of square footage to live has to be comfortable on a smaller scale. Right? So that's a story. And I'll be around to answer any questions that you have about the layouts. But please understand, this is very conceptual. This is freehand and drawn with great care, but necessarily with an idea that things can change, things can be moved around as is necessary. Thank you.
All right, so now I want to just touch on some of the things that came up at the last meeting, and then we want to get the mic around to you so you can give your comments. And don't forget, you can also just write them down and leave them for us, and we'll try to address them as we continue to visualize. After this meeting, we're probably going to, at minimum, take a couple of months off before we have another community meeting, because we want to pull in all of the ideas, suggestions, and really come with something more firmer that you can react to. But in the first meeting from June 27th, the question was asked, affordable housing, what does that mean? Who is it affordable to? What is area median income, which we talked about? The council member wanted to know the difference between a tiny house and what we're talking about, micro housing. And so we're going to go into those slides, but I want to address number 5 and 6 now. And I had another conversation about the traffic, and go back to this, about the traffic. And I do know that the city is working on its complete streets design. The church can't control the number of the traffic or how it happens, but I think that's a conversation that we all should have with the city about how that is going to be designed, and if it is going to help to make sure that we keep traffic flowing and that we put ingress and egress points to the development that will not exacerbate a problem that we already have or contribute to one, because a lot of people are developing here, which is what we want. One of the things I will say is a benefit of this project is I believe that it could look to help reducing traffic. And I say that because of the close proximity to the commercial area. We want to really encourage the residents to walk to commercial, because commercial is right there. And we need to get, I see you looking at me like that, but you know you need to go walking a little bit. If you could go down to the store and you said what store? And that's the other beauty of this project, is that people are embracing, and I'm glad, the density, because if we can get more people here, we can attract the businesses that we want, and we can help to support and to keep the ones we already have. So that's a part of the Renaissance too. Okay, you got a good looking face on now. Okay, I answered that question. Also, it was asked about the Atlanta Design Project, and I've gotten a booklet that I want to go through. I want to make sure we share it with our team so that we are also looking at the planning and thoughts that people had in the greater community and close in this community as we're developing it. In terms of, someone asked about affordable taxes and will the project at Hillside increase property values? I can't give you a definitive answer on that, but I'm going to give you my anecdotal, off the top of my head answer, because we are building micro housing, which is not as large as many of the properties that are already here. The price point won't be as high. And so I think that it wouldn't price out or overprice or change considerably the nature of some of the, what I want to call, the more established homes in the neighborhood. So that's my initial thinking, but of course we can continue, and I will continue to look at that. And as we move along and we understand what exactly is going to be on the ground, we can have a better conversation about that. Also, maybe in the future, we really need to have a discussion about taxes, not only for this project, but just in general, because I understand, having been a council member in particular for a district, as well as a city official, that many people really do not understand the nature of how their property tax is their property tax, and what is, the assessed value and all that. So maybe there may be some times, if people are interested, and if you are, let me know on that slip of paper. We just kind of, I bring in some other people, myself, and we just kind of have a conversation to educate you on how your property tax is assessed for your property and how you can appeal it and all of that. So, not to continue to digress, I'll go to the next slide. And so I did a little research. I pulled some things out, and I did a pull like a CMA, a comparative market analysis. Those are real estate know what that is. And I just looked at housing, residential housing in general. So this isn't breaking it out within a 1 mile area of Hillside. And so what's on the market today? What's people have signs in their yard to sell? The average list price is around 381,000. Let's just call that 400, close to $400,000. The median price is a 359,950. The minimum price on the market today, well, not today, it could have been yesterday, because we know things come on and go. Yesterday when I did it was 215,000, and the maximum that's listed in the area is 775,000. So go to the next slide. So then you really want to know, well, what has been selling and what has sold, what has closed. The average sale price is 330, I'm going to say 332. The medium is 350. The minimum has been 93,000, and then the maximum is 710,000. And as I looked at it, you have some properties that are upper price. They're bigger, they're maybe more spacious, they're selling for greater, but you also have some that are just a step down from that in terms of the pricing. But this is a very, I'm not going to call it a high price area for the market. Let me not digress. Let me keep going with my slides. I'll make a point. The other question people had was, what is affordable housing and what is attainable housing? And as you will see from this definition, it's recapping what was said from the mayor's office, where we continue to talk about people not spending more than 30% of their income, minus your ongoing expenses on housing. And so that definition plays when you talk about affordable housing and attainable housing. I think the question, as I've talked to people here, is at what price point, at what level of salary or income are the people who will be marketed to these properties that are in here? There's no determination at this point, because you got to include development costs and other things to be able to say, this unit's going to cost this, or this unit's going to cost that. Those are things that we have to work backwards from once we do the due diligence on the property. So we would like for people who are in the workforce to be able to do it. And so we're calling it more workforce housing, having yet to determine which particular occupations, if we're going to be that specific. But we certainly want it for people who want to have a nice place to live in an established community, and be able to afford it and not overburden themselves with their housing costs while they're doing it. So affordable housing is defined by the federal government, and this is done by saying that the household should not be paying more than 30% of their total income towards rent, mortgage, utilities, taxes, insurance, and other related housing expenses. The definition for attainable housing on the next slide is, again, housing that is affordable to people earning the area median income, and I'll talk about what that is. Households living in attainable housing and earning between 80 to 100% of the area median income should not spend more than 30% of the income on housing. So we're back to the same thing. No matter whether you call it attainable or whether you call it affordable, 30% is that threshold. So what is area median income? It is a measurement of a resident's median income in a broad area that is calculated annually by HUD and the U.S. Department of Housing Development. So the official median income for Atlanta metropolitan area, MA, is $69,700 for a family of four. And then in Atlanta, the median household, Atlanta, the city proper, is $74,107, with the middle class income ranging from 50,000 to 148,000. Yeah. Okay, so who can afford what? And I pulled these examples from the internet. The first one you'll find interesting, but I'm going to add the caveat that's not in it. It says if you make $70,000 a year, how much can I afford? So if you make $70,000 a year, you can likely afford a home between 290 and 360. And there's an asterisk there. That's monthly house payment between 2,000 and 2,500 a month, depending on your personal finances. And that's the big thing. You could make $70,000 and you could probably buy a $300,000 home, but that's going to balance out in what your other expenses are. That's why a lot of people and a lot of younger people are really concerned about their student loans and that kind of thing, because it takes away money that they can use to buy a house, because that's an expense that's ongoing. So let's go to the next example. Is it one? Is this the next one, or was it? Yeah, next, that's the next one. So if you make $166,514 a year, you can afford a $450,000 mortgage. You base your income you need on a $450,000 mortgage on a payment that is 24% of your monthly income. In your case, your monthly income should be about $13,876. That's another example. Another example is experts suggest that you might need an annual income between 100,000 to 225,000, depending on your personal financial profile, again, the expenses that you have, in order to afford a $1 million home. And so, that depends on how you use it. And why I'm giving these examples for $1 million home, a $450,000 home, or a lesser home, again, it goes back to one, how much money do you make? And then two, how much expenses you have to be able to qualify for that particular loan. And so we can move on to the next slide. Yes. Oh, thank you. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So, other market facts. In June 2023, Atlanta home prices were up 5.8% compared to last year, selling for a median price of $439,000. Now, I remember when I thought it was crazy when the median price was 150. Now we're up in the $439,000 range for a median price of a house. The median listing home price in Atlanta, Georgia, was $430,000. So just keep that in mind. The average Georgia home, that's statewide, is at $318,000. And this is interesting. According to data of Atlanta has the most overpriced housing market in the United States. Inventory is still low and buyer demand is still high. So there's still a lot of need out there for housing. No, they say now Atlanta, but different people do different studies. The next slide. So the other question was defining what a tiny house is and what micro housing is. What is a tiny house and just how tiny is it? Typically, tiny houses are between 100 and 400 square feet. While it isn't a set standard, a tiny house, defined as a tiny house, rarely exceeds 500 square feet. And so you've been hearing us use the term microhousing. Micro homes are the next step up from a tiny house. They range from 400 to approximately 800 square feet and must encompass an independent kitchen, bathroom, and at least one window. Now, you probably will go back and say, well, on what the tiny houses, who can live in 100 square feet? Who can live in smaller? Those, a lot of those are used where they may have communal, in a community where they may have communal baths or communal kitchens or something, because you can't fit everything in 100 square feet. So we're looking at micro houses where it's a house. It has all the amenities that your house has, but the square footage is just smaller. Okay, next one. I think the next is for you to be able to give input and ask any questions, and we'll all stand here ready to answer 'em. We have a mic. Just raise your hand, and we'll bring the mic to you. Oh, we did so good. You don't have any questions. Yes, we'll bring the mic to you.
Hi, my name is Archie Emerson. I'm here from the Empire Board of Realtors. I know Ms. Moore very well. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, thank
But
you.
I do want to find out, is in the beginning you say that it will offer people that want to downsize. So are these units more for the downsize community, the people that want to downsize, or first-time home buyers?
So I think they serve a couple of purposes. One, the senior living would definitely be a downsize. So that would be someone who is a senior, perhaps is living in the community. Hopefully they're living in the community, is tired of all the home maintenance and all that goes along with the big house, wants to downsize and stay in the community. The ones that are for sale units would be for, we are looking towards making it a workforce housing environment. So we have people that are professionals or skilled workers who have jobs, who are maybe single and don't need a lot of space, and it can be a starter home for them. And maybe later they may want to move up to something larger, or they may want to stay in that community. But someone who can go ahead and, get the equity and buying into something and own their own property.
So a price on the base have not been put in on them yet?
Say that one more
Have the
time?
average price for those units been put place yet?
No, and the reason why we don't have an average price yet is you've got to take into account, we're developing raw land pretty much, the infrastructure costs, the planning, the engineers, the architect, all of that has to take in place to figure out, well, how can we, what are the price points going to be on those properties? But they will more than likely be, they're not going to be as high as the $770,000 that's listed, or even the $350,000, because the square footage is quite smaller.
Okay, because we're looking, and I think that this is a great idea, because I am a 30-year real estate broker, been selling in this area for the last 30 years. And we do have a light of properties to sell, and there are a volume of buyers out here. And I like this idea. We do have what we call some other products that are out here as well, that have come to the Empire Board and asked us to promote. And I'm interested in seeing what this product looks like versus the other one that they're saying to say, bring back some form of affordable housing for our community in order for us, because the rent market has increased. And here now we have people that wants to be able to have affordable housing. Just trying to look and see if this is in that line with what's coming, that these homes going to be sustainable.
Well, we're definitely looking at, from the ground up, sustainable building materials, and Dr. Sneed just mentioned that, and to turn the sustainability of making sure that we have a product that is going to look good on day one and look good in 20 years from now or 30 years from now. And then we want to make sure that the pricing is something that we can keep home ownership going. It's really a home ownership product. We're not looking at I haven't heard anything about looking at any rental at this point.
No,
And
yeah,
the affordability is going to come in that the price point, again, is not going to be the same price point as if I bought a house, a 3-bedroom, two bath house down the street, because the square footage is going to be smaller, and you're going to have the kitchen and the bathroom and all that, but you're going to have a smaller square footage. So the price per square foot's got to make sense too.
okay. And also, I am a HUD housing counselor. So the number one thing is, will they be given housing counseling prior? I'm an advocate before anyone goes into home ownership that they needs to understand transitioning from renting to home ownership, that it's a different tool. We already have the issue with property taxes increasing. So having them to understand it's such a different space from renting to home ownership. You're beginning to building financial wealth. How do they stay in place? Is that going to be offered within this community as they grow and build?
I'm sure that, any type of education project, and I'm sure the bishop can talk about, the church is already doing a lot. I hope you all take advantage of it in terms of wealth building and education. We certainly can and will make sure it's added with those who, particularly most of these may be first-time home owners. So I don't know if it will be HUD attached or not, but
Well,
that
if
is
the
something.
FHA, and if they acquire, I'm not even sure if the type of loan, will it be a FHA loan, it has to be a conventional loan that will be tied to these properties? I know under FHA.
We haven't gotten that far
Yeah, I know.
in the details yet, but thank you for
I'm
bringing
sorry.
it. No, that's fine. That's what we're here for, so that we hear those details. And if you, just mark them on your comment, it'll remind us as we're moving along. Go ahead.
Any information, education that will help to inform those who are seeking to be a part of this experience, we want to provide it. As Felicia said, we're in the 8th week. Tomorrow makes 8 weeks of our wealth building sessions. And this is a part of the conversation. So yes, and we're hoping that you'll be willing to share your information with. All right. Okay, great. Thank you. And I think there's a.
Good evening. My name's Christian Ross, and just to give context to two things, I wanted to say in regards to the space, go to IKEA. If you go to IKEA, you can see how they make spaces in 300 square feet, in 700 square feet, in 800 square feet. So I think right now a lot of things are conceptual, but when you're able to see a kitchen, a living room in that type of square footage, it definitely gives you just some more context. And second, there's a company called Market Insight. They are a real estate, not management, but a real estate, just facts firm. They go over the facts, they look at the market. They said in 2016, sales under 350,000 were 70% of the market. Today, sales under 350,000 are 30% of the market. So it shows you how much things like this are needed, especially with greedflation. We
Thank you. She said we need options. You probably heard her mic go off. Anyone else? Hey, Shay.
Hi, I'm Shay. I love this rendition right here on this corner, and I guess my question really is for Mr. Stanley: is that have y'all looked at and considered where the parking lot across the street is to actually allow live work, so you could have a small like professional office facing the street and then work upstairs, but then actually leave the parking lot but put a second story with a green roof but intermingled with single and two-story homes on top of that?
But if you'll write that down, I'll take it into consideration. If you write it down for me, I'll take it into consideration. We're very conceptual at this point. We've not really looked at green roofs. We're looking at a platform for this particular rendering. And it places commercials very simply at the base of the structure and puts the housing on top of it with the parking for the commercial directly behind and the parking for the housing somewhere else.
She's asking for the same
concept on top of the parking lot across the street?
That's a Bishop question.
Yeah, she's referring to putting a platform over top of the parking lot across the street and building on top of that. Am I correct?
And that's a Bishop question. I mean, I can design it all day long, but there's an infrastructure already in place over there for, water, wastewater treatment, et cetera. To infuse housing on top of it, you have to change that whole complex. It's a lot, yeah. So we can do it. It's just.
Next question. Hi, Julius.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kim Gilbert, and my question, I understand that this project is the 2030 vision, and I understand that this, it's very conceptualized at this point, but is there an estimated project plan timeline? Has one been established? That's part one. And if so, what is the estimated time to break ground for whichever phase will be rolled out first?
Well, if we ask the bishop, which we won't, I mean, he had a date in his head.
I'm so glad you asked that question because I got my shovel and my hard hat. We're going to break some dirt in September, all right? I don't care if we just turn over some dirt, but there's a lot of work to go. We're going to break ground in September. Got it? Now, if that's all we do for right now is break ground, we're going to break ground when? In fact, it's going to be September 23rd, 2023. Got it? So make sure you're here. We're going to do what? Break ground September when? 23rd, 2023. And if all we do is shovel some dirt, that's what's going to happen. But come, Dr. Stanley, explain the process, what all has to take place before we even move forward with it.
Well, if you break ground seriously in September, I'll break down in August. And I still want to be standing here. That's a lengthy process. Zoning is the first issue you have to deal with, of course, to make sure that the proper planning and layouts is very important. Geotechnical studies to make sure that the ground will work and that kind of thing. You have some demolition you have to deal with. You have reforestation, you take out trees, you have to put them back in the right proportions. The housing is easier because it's factory built. But putting the infrastructure in place, make sure that the water is contained under the soil is very important. Making sure the parking works accessible. So all of that stuff, even if you were working 24/7, 365, if you had AI working on this, it would still take you considerable, about at least a year, 6 months to a year to do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good question. First of all, we are ahead of a lot of developments and planning in the community and around the city of Atlanta. We've already had our office come out, and we had also getting prices for removing of the trees and the elevation, and also planning to remove the old property. So we're a lot ahead of in this particular process for September 23rd. So we actually. We can do a lot of things, especially with you guys' help, the way you guys have come in. The beautiful thing about what we have, while we're doing the landscaping or the elevations and doing the site work on it, we can actually be building our product because we're building in the factory or pre-manufactured. That gives us a huge advantage that's sustainable and affordable with our particular technology. So that gives us a lot of leeway in the development stage and the building stage, so it saves us a lot of time. But you guys have a lot of great questions, and we love it, and we thank you for being here.
Thank you. I saw Senator Fort come in. Thanks for joining us. He's with the Mayor Andre Dickens' office, so please let them know that we are very supportive of trying to get these things done here on Cascade. And I want to thank you all for coming out. We're not finished. We're going to answer more questions, but I do want to add what you can do to help us get there. So we'll turn the dirt, but eventually, like I said, in the next couple of months, we hope you can come together and we have some more firmer ideas based on your input and the vision that we have. And then at some point, the church is going to have to go to the city to rezone and make sure that we can uh, subdivide it however we need it, et cetera. And so what will be helpful is if you would make sure that you get this video. It's on Facebook and Twitter. We're on there live, but you can share it. Share this with your community group, share it with your friends, share it on your Facebook page, because I've been down this road before. No matter how many times you reach out to the community or how hard you do it, it's somebody at the end that's going to come up and say they didn't know anything about it and they don't want it. So we want to make sure that we keep the momentum going and that we use you sort of as people who are interested in and care about your community to make sure that we get the information out so we can get the input from as many people as possible. So can I get you all to do that? All right. Thank you. We had another question.
I'm Bobby Flournoy with Beecher Hills Group, just down the street. So I had a couple questions about the development of it. For the builder, this thing is crazy. What's the percentage of savings that you normally see from this type of material versus typical construction?
That's a very good question. I'm a builder for 40 years, and traditional construction, as you know, it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of parts that go into it. With our particular slide, we come right here. This is AGS's technology. If you can see what our technology looks like, and as far as traditional wood material, we're talking jacks, we're talking headers, we're talking studs, we're talking floor joists, beams, rafters, truss, so on and so forth. With our technology, it is it. So we can save a lot of time. By saving time, we're saving money. So it brings our costs down to make it affordable. What we can build this particular home, I think we were showing here, we can build an average 400 square feet like a day or 2 days. Wow. So that's a lot of time what you see in traditional building. Sometimes our average 400 of 800, 1,800 square feet house take about 7 months to build. We can do it in about a month. So we're talking to save a lot of labor and cost and further material also.
Great. And Felicia, quick question for you. So just reiterating, this is all home ownership? This is rental and home ownership? Or is this a blended community where you've got some workforce housing, some regular price housing? We're seeing different types of development around the city being proposed. So what exactly are you all proposing for this?
Okay, again, I want to reiterate, we're in the visiting phase, but the seniors would be for sale, as I understand it at this point, micro housing. What would go next to the church would be for sale, micro housing. The rental would be with, or leasing would be with the retail space on the ground level. And what is above will still be condos as well, which would be for sale. So at this point, we haven't talked about any discussion on rental. And then blended between, you want to say it?
We realize that all seniors might not be financially positioned to pay for a new home. So we're leaning that our senior housing community will be a blended kind of community. We have them in our own congregation who would like to be part of this community, and you should be able to live here if you choose to. So that's the concept for the senior.
Last one. For the ownership, is this like a HOA situation?
Yes, it will have to have a homeowners association. There would be condos, and they would have to have, a governing body. Anyone else? I know somebody has a burning comment or question. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. My name is Nicole Phillips. So the square footage of the homes seems to, accommodate single people. Are any of the homes being built to accommodate families? And what would be the numbers in terms of families?
So I think one of the units has 2 bedrooms, so that's the maximum. Most of them are either 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms. So it wouldn't be for like a family of 4. You would actually need a more traditional home to be able to have that kind of space. You don't want to put 4 kids and 2 parents and 400 square feet.
Okay, okay.
So that's why we're looking at the workforce idea and suggestion as I talk to community people, and making sure that we are looking at some of the workforce housing. This is a 2-bedroom here. So it's a bedroom on the main and a bedroom upstairs. Oh, they're both upstairs? Okay. Not looking at it. Okay. But 2 bedrooms is the max. Anyone else? Yes.
Yes, because it's affordable, I think maybe you all should start a wait list, because even though it's a vision, once it gets started, people are gonna really gravitate towards it. So I think you should consider having a wait list created for people that would be interested, because I think I would be interested too.
Okay. And so let me start that wait list tonight. And if you are interested in perhaps moving in the community, put some contact information, your name, number, because when we do get to the phase of marketing, we certainly have the ability to let everybody who's been coming in the community know first before we open it up to everybody. And we might get lucky and sell them all from people who live in the community. Yes. She says she is interested. Yeah, so please, maybe we might need another slip of paper, but make sure you let us know that you have an interest, and I will go ahead and develop that list. You will be the first to know when we're ready. Okay. Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Nana. My question is, as a elder, it's looking interesting, single family here and there, you're by yourself. My question is, these steps are beginning to kind of worry me. So have you considered a one level instead of steps when we talk about the elders? I don't mean someone that has to have a system, but sometimes you wake up in the morning when you get 70 and 80 and your legs hurt. So going up steps can be an issue, because this is my forever house.
All right. Well, we're not going to give you any more aches and pains. In the senior development, they definitely will be one level. The only two level options are sporadically inside of this plan here, where somebody could buy one that has an upstairs with another bedroom. You don't want to say that?
400, 500, these are the one level. Thank you. These are the one level, and they're ADA compliant. So for the senior citizens, we have to meet all ADA code compliance. And that's what these will be meeting. These are one level.
All right. Anyone else? Well, let me just reiterate my phone number, because sometimes you get away from here and say, dog, I wish I'd asked this question or that question. Feel free to send an email on the card list, or either text me or either call me. And I will certainly, if I don't know the answer, I will get the answer. If there's more information you think that we need to discuss at some point, we'll do that. But for right now, we are just open for your input. Give us another couple of months before we come back to you with more concrete things. So we take the vision into actually laying it out and saying, this is what we'd like to see happen. So anyone else and any other questions? All right. Bishop?
Can we get Felicia more? And Dr. Sneed and Dr. Stanley and Mrs. Stanley, thank you all so much. Thank you for being here, for your questions, your comments. And please, if you are interested and really feel excited about this project, we invite you to consider becoming a Renaissance ambassador to help us carry the message. So if you would, if you're interested, please leave your name and your number and email on that slip of paper so that and indicate that you would like to be an ambassador for the project to help us carry the message to the community. Thank you for being here. Please take the food before you leave. We do have a closing prayer. It's our prayer for protection as we close out. If you don't mind standing as we stand together as a community. Those of you who are tuned in on YouTube and on Facebook, we're so grateful. Thank you for being here as well. I am so excited about this. We won't, now listen, we will have the next meeting when is it going to, it's not next month? September 23rd, 2023, groundbreaking here. We're going to turn some dirt. And if you could just take a deep breath in and just let it go and feel that something wonderful is happening right here and right now, that we're witnessing. We're witnessing a divine idea being made manifest, and it's our good privilege to be part of it. And if you could just speak a blessing and hold this sacred idea in prayer, we would greatly appreciate it. As we go forth from this place, we go forth affirming this truth. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever you are, God is. Thank you, God, in me, through me, as me, around me, through the Christ within, and so it is. Amen. God bless you. Peace and blessings. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good meeting. Let's get a picture, Doc. We're making history. Oh, yeah.
Please leave your comments, or you can either bring them up here or leave them on the table. We'll come around and get them. Valerie, can somebody go around and pick these up? Yeah. They're coming down the aisle to collect them. Thank you. I checked on that transportation. I couldn't get anybody to do it for free. Yeah. But I'm gonna come out Saturday. Let me know. Huh? Tyrone is stepping outside over there at the cafe. Hey, how you doing?